Welcome to all members of Rescue and Relief family. Before I introduce you to today's guest, I'll request you to please share, like and subscribe to this channel so that we monetize this channel to create secondary resource for our children and grandparents. Today, in Donor Speak episode 7, we will have conversation with a very esteemed and dear friend of our organization, Professor Ayan Banerjee. Professor Banerjee is the head of the Department for Physical Sciences at IISER Kolkata. He is working in the field of optics and spectroscopy for last 24 years. A scientist, but also involved in professional Bengali and English theatre in the capacity of a playwright, director, and an actor. He is the founder director for Research Innovation and Scientific Entrepreneurship RISE Foundation at IISER, a Section 8 company formed inside the premises of IISER Kolkata to incubate deep science-based startups. He is passionately involved with theatre group Kalyani Mukhosh. He has written 11 plays in Bengali and English, besides having acted and directed several more. A person with incredible knowledge, amazing enthusiasm, and never give up attitude towards life. I am delighted to welcome Professor Ayan Banerjee. Firstly, I would like to thank him for being always there for my children and grandparents, and also for taking out time for today's conversation from our important schedule. Welcome, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, Siddhant. It's always a pleasure to work with you. And wow, you said such incredible things about me. I thought it was about somebody else, man. I am not that good as you claim, yeah. Come on, I'm just a normal, ordinary human being. Chalo, let's start.
You have done lots for my children, and thank you, sir. Like, we will be always grateful for that. Starting, sir.
Sure.
So my first question will be, both men and women enjoy equal opportunities. But as the freedom and safety of the women are concerned, India lags behind. Don't you think we men have led our women down? Your message to men of our country who thinks women are less than men?
See, the issue, I think, is deeper than just men. I think the problem is patriarchy.
Right.
It is this feeling of what a man should be. Unfortunately, that feeling does not only percolate just among men, but to a pretty large section of women as well. And that is the main culprit, the main issue, which makes us feel that, feel women to be women at first and human beings second, which is exactly the opposite of what any human being should feel, right? Because this gender of, my gender and other genders and all, that is finally another level. The basic thing is that we are all humans. And it is when we forget that, when we allow social norms, baggage that religion, society, where our civilization has progressed, all that baggage that we have collected over the years, when that sort of imposes itself on us, it is then when the problem happens. We are unaware of our history. We are unaware of our roots, our culture. We only choose things which help us in our particular myopic point of view and which helps us propagate our ego. That's what creates this division. Anyway, most animals, I think, want to be powerful, and masculinity is often identified with power. And when I say masculinity, it is essentially, I want to use a particular definition of the word, and that is trying to impose oneself on the other. And that, Siddhant, remember, comes not just from males, it also comes from the opposite gender as well. The desire to impose oneself on another human being, and doing that because one is physically stronger or somehow stronger, maybe by just by birth, by design. I might be born with a physical, with a stronger physique, And because I beat up everybody else, I just become their leader. And then it is basically my instinct, that physical power, that masculinity, which I identify with, that sort of, leads me to think that I can dictate the lives of others. And it is when you think that you can dictate the lives of others that you finally, start violating fundamental rights of other people. The issue is we forget that when you believe that you can control the lives of others, you actually tacitly also accept that somebody else can control you as well. And it is only when you ascribe to that feeling that you believe in control and you yourself are also controlled, that all these issues about masculinity arise. So if you believe that you do not want to be controlled by anybody, you cannot control other people as well. So it's a matter of control. And it is basically, if you want to be free, if you want to be, not allowed to be dictated by others, that you believe in the dignity of other people's lives, in their freedom of expression, in their freedom of making their own choices. So I think it is, of course, men are privileged in the sense that society believes in patriarchy, and therefore women who think like men are also get a shortcut towards power. And because we are lazy, right? We love shortcuts, right? And that is what propagates. Because we are lazy, we do not want to think deeply as well. We do not want to think that basically it is the fact that we consent to be led by others, to be allowed to be dictated by others, that we also try to control others. When we feel that as an individual, we are finally living our own lives, we do not want to be controlled by others. When we realize that, that is when we will absolutely consider controlling others' lives a sacrilege. We will not want to control others' lives because we don't want to be controlled. It's only when we reach that level of empowerment, when we want to live our own lives, which is not going to be influenced to a level when this guy says that you go and jump into the river and I will jump. And there are many people in the country who want to do that. You just follow, it's like a herding mentality. That herding mentality essentially wants everybody to fall in line. And unfortunately, patriarchy is that falling in line. A part of falling in line is ascribing to these patriarchal values. Okay, and that is the problem, those values, because we want a shortcut to power, we want the status quo to remain. We don't want to live our own lives, we want to impose ourselves on others because our lives are also finally controlled by other people. That is the big issue. And what should I say? But I would urge everybody to finally realize that, do you want your life to be controlled? If you do not believe in control, do not think of controlling others. That is my message, clearly.
It's a lovely message. I think people should hear it out and should learn from that message. Sir, I go to a lot of institutes. I go to and I talk to a lot of students. And so in different institutes, or what we are doing is we are talking about social problems that students face in different institutes. So many times during conversation with young male students across institutes of our country, we discuss social topic. And there I hear a concept, rather a foul concept of mard and namard, that students complain of their peers calling themselves as mard. What I understood from them is this person mard is powerful, roughly treats women, and a true mard is a person who is great at below the belt activity and also avails something like prostitution. And in case you're not among them, you are slammed as a namard. So your message to the students of the country as a faculty.
This is basically, this is just a continuation of what I said earlier, right?
Right.
It is this feeling of patriarchy which drives you on. And you would see, why do you think this is so much in the vogue? Because there is a section of women probably who also get influenced by that, right? Who are allowed to, who sort of say that, who realize probably that the shortest way of controlling others, the shortcut, is this ascribing to this kind of a feeling of your physicality, your innate power. See, but that is such a joke, right? I mean, you can have. I remember there is this scene in one of these Indiana Jones films. Okay, I think it was the first film, I guess. So it was this thing where I think where they go to somewhere in Arabia or something, where this guy is flourishing his sword and is a very, very powerful person, a local person, a native, where he's like is far, he's like 3 times more powerful in his physique than Indiana Jones, and he's like flourishing his sword and he's coming to cut off Indy's head. And Indy just sort of shrugs his shoulders, takes out his gun and shoots him. Right? So it doesn't matter that you have a powerful physique. If I have a gun, then your physique is gone to the dogs, right? So there's all this namard and hamard and all. If I have something in here, I can take you out in 2 seconds, right? So what you have to understand now is physicality. This brutal, outright physicality is a thing of the past. Now it's all inside here. I'm a clever person. I'm creative. I can just take you. I can just bind your feet and hang you upside down from a tree. If I'm clever enough, I'll not do it. I'll hire 10,000 to do it. Right? So what matters is finally being creative, finally being intelligent, using technological resources that are available now. And if you're, unfortunately, see, one thing what people do not understand is if you want to be creative, the first thing that you want to believe is in freedom. Right. Freedom of thought, freedom of expression, and not only your own freedom, but others' freedom. If you do not believe in others' freedom, you cannot be free yourself. Okay. And therefore, if you want to be creative, and if you really want to be powerful, creativity is at the root of being powerful. So if you ascribe to things that were the fashion when technology wasn't the fashion, unfortunately, you're still lagging far behind. Okay. So you can, I know there are people who are very clever, but somehow their societal beliefs, their upbringing has been in certain conservative ways or certain, completely inside orthodoxy, to a level where their creative selves, their technical selves, and their social selves are somewhat different. They're 2 different people. Okay, when they're working in the lab, they're something. When they go out of the lab, they become something else. I know that's very much there. It's very much there in academia. It's there in any sphere of life. And they are quite successful as well. But I can still tell you that if you finally want to be a cut above the rest, you have to be able to let your creativity get out of bounds. And when I say bounds, that is outside all kinds of constraints. And believe me, patriarchy is a constraint. Right. It's a barrier. Because you do not believe that 50% of the human race is as powerful as you. You believe them to be below you. And therefore, you will never get their cooperation as well. You will never get their unbridled, complete cooperation, help, collaboration. Because when you try to dominate others, you never get them work with you shoulder to shoulder. And remember, the power of 2 is always more than the power of the individual. And unless you share freedom, unless you sort of allow others to work without being fettered, you will never get, you'll never create a human resource strength that can be, that can be able to take up any kind of problems, any kind of challenges. So if you are believing in this mud thing, you're essentially denouncing 50% of the human race, which means you're just half as powerful. You're just straight, right? I mean, 2 people can solve a problem better than 1. You feel that these people cannot solve problems. You're reducing your own strength. You're reducing the strength of humanity. I mean, this is so stupid, right? That is so unbelievably stupid. You're not allowing half of humanity to participate, to therefore build up prowess, to build up ability, as would be possible if they had participated. And therefore, that is just not fulfilling your entitlement. That is basically playing down to your strength. That is, above and all, it is ultimately stupid. It is idiotic. This Namadgiri is just plain and simple stupid. You are allowing yourself to remain half powerful. That is all I have to say.
Oh, sir, I got it. Sir, like from the problems, let's talk about little solutions. So Diwali is around the corner. Like we celebrate Diwali with firecrackers, and that cause a lot of environment pollution and harm to street animals. If with the same amount we try to bring light to helpless grandparents whose own children have left them on the streets and now they are in an old age home spending the Diwali all alone, buying them sweets, books, would it not give us any pleasure?
See, the problem is, again, you ascribe to certain norms.
Right.
You have seen everybody bursting crackers. You have seen, when you have grown up with your whole family, indulging in mindless happiness at times. You don't even bother to think what makes you happy. You just repeat activities which you have seen others do, and you think that you will be happy doing this. You have never even explored other things. You have never even explored how good it feels when others are happy because of what you did.
Right.
And that is the massive issue, right? And unfortunately, that's because you're not imaginative, possibly, to understand how you can make others happy. You just refuse to think. You have seen others doing something, and you just follow their steps. Again, that herding mentality. So I'm not saying that there is no happiness in bursting crackers. Of course, when you see a sprinkler or you see, these earthen pot sprinklers, right? Tubri, as we call them in Bengali, right? Of course, they are very beautiful. But if, when you see the beauty of a tubri reflected from the eyes of another person, that will probably make you happier, right? When you see a person smile at something that you have done, I think it makes me much happier than seeing a sprinkler, which then makes me cough afterwards. And it's not me, it's thousands and millions of others who actually get very badly affected. See, Delhi, I personally can tell you, I was at Delhi, it was before the pandemic, I think 3-4 years back. I was giving a talk at one of the IITs. I mean, of course, there's only one IIT in Delhi. I was giving a talk. And I had gone to my cousin's house, sister's house, just for the night. And we had just, she had a very nice flat, and we were at her veranda, and we were chatting out. It was like whole night we chatted. And then I think it was almost like in the wee hours of the morning that I just sort of came inside the room. And my old aunt, she also refused to sleep, but we did not allow her to get out on the veranda because she has, again, issues and all. And this was just the day or 3 days, 4 days before Diwali. Okay. And you wouldn't believe, Siddhant, I came inside at about 3 o'clock or something like that at night. My aunt looks at me and says, "What have you done? Have you been crying?" I said, "What?" He said, "Look at your eyes." And I went to the mirror and they were blood red. I was shocked. I didn't even feel it. So just imagine, I was sitting outside.
Damage it is doing.
Yes, and my eyes had become blood red. And I had to immediately take some antihistamine tablets. And thankfully, my flight was the next day morning, actually, early morning. This Air India early morning flights. I came out. The next day, I think in 2 days, newspapers started flashing that Delhi doctors have said that the best way to fight the pollution at Delhi is to get out of Delhi. Can you imagine? That is what the doctors are saying, that you cannot live in this city. I have, very good friends at IIT who actually themselves have a device to monitor the air quality
Air
index in
quality.
Delhi.
Yes, yes, sir.
And
Even my friends in
yeah,
Delhi have.
they actually send me, they have built their own devices,
Okay.
and they tell me that it's their own data. It's their own data. It's not something that I look at other people's thing, their own data. And they tell me that is unlivable. It is something like 700 or 800. It is something where you will die. Get yourself exposed at it at full blast. If you have any lung condition, you're going to expire probably. It is that bad. And we are still dumb. We're so dumb that we still keep on doing it.
So Delhi
I mean,
will
what
generate
is
the
this,
most
right?
amount of
You're
Delhi in the
basically
country.
destroying the planet. Yeah, you're essentially taking the planet and ensuring that it's going to get destroyed. In what stupidity, what selfishness, what unimaginative brutality is this? See, because climate change and all is a reality, it's not fiction. This planet, if it continues like this, it does not have a lifetime of more than a couple of 100 years after this. We are leaving an absolute hell for our next generations. And we are so selfish. We're criminals at one level of thought. We're actually criminals.
I
So there is
completely
no
agree with
choice
you.
now.
Mhm.
Okay, it's only that we have to realize that this is going to a limit where the only thing is to stop. There's no other thought. You stop. There's no other choice. And of course, you have to realize that one day you too will get old and you too will get alone. And if some person comes and looks after you, you too will be happy.
Happy.
Don't think that your youth, your time of physical activity is permanent. Age is it's a inverse. It's just it's a decaying exponential function, as we say in math and physics. It's just decaying. Your body is slowly, cells are dying out. You're getting old, and it's irreversible. And one day you too will be at that end of the bridge. And then if nobody extends their hand, you will know what loneliness is. So just be imaginative and understand that others need you, because at one point of time you will also need others.
Sir, you've been supporting our girls, children and grandparents for almost 4 years now. Have we met or unmet or exceeded your expectations?
You're doing quite well. I mean, given that the way you guys have come up from almost nowhere and still gone to an extent where you support so many kids, so hundreds of kids around, that is really solid. I mean, I'm quite impressed at that. But you still haven't managed to get very, very substantial corporate support and all. In spite of that, you're not allowed your children to suffer. You're continuously expanding. You've never turned down a kid who who's seen the rough end, who needs to be saved. You've always embraced them. I think that you're functioning almost as good as you have always been, in spite of the pandemic and during the pandemic, is quite remarkable. I mean, I hope you would go to a level where you can embrace even more and more kids, grow faster, grow stronger. Yeah, I mean that's quite remarkable. I mean that you guys, we have a saying in Bengali called "Ghorer khe boner nosh tano."
Right.
In the sense that you do stuff. We could have all had successful corporate careers or things like that, and you still are, you just extend your help to other human beings, not really caring about your own corporal welfare and your own pleasures and small happinesses of life, small joys and trivial feel goods, but you actually go out and take the tough stuff in spite of having a choice of not doing anything of that sort and having comfortable lives like us. Yeah, I mean, I at times feel that probably, I think all of us should be doing more. I think humanity is going through a pretty rough edge at this point of time.
No, sir.
And that you
You've been
guys
doing,
have
I think,
forsaken a lot of your personal happinesses to go and help others. That is why you're magnanimous even when nobody has asked you to. That is quite remarkable.
So what I personally have realized is I think finding happiness in people is it's a long lasting thing compared to when we look to find happiness in materialistic
You
things.
never forget a smiling face, right?
Right, sir. And that is amazing, sir. Like whenever, like one of my boys this year got chance in IIT Guwahati for his PhD. So
Oh, fantastic.
something
Fabulous.
something like this is like, you know, in Bengali I always say "Bapok." It's like amazing. Like, and I never
I
got
mean, you live for these moments.
right, sir. These moments are amazing. One of my girl is studying National Law University, Lucknow, sir, irrespective
Exactly.
of the fact that she was trafficked at a very early age. So all these stories inspire me, sir, every day, and I think these stories,
Absolutely.
these are
Absolutely.
success stories that people should know. These are, maybe they are not Steve Jobs and they are not uh, Tata and
They're
Ambani,
human beings.
right? But they are small. They had really tough times and they had avoided failures, right? Real failures, real
Exactly.
shocks,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. And they haven't stopped fighting, right? That
Right.
is immense.
They have not started. And sir, you give little resource to my children, my girls, you will see that they will give
Right.
more returns compared to a normal, a gifted child.
Exactly. See, they have not been born privileged, right? See, we have all been born privileged. And I was just talking to a student some time back. That guy is also frustrated and all. And I was just telling him that finally you're a privileged person, right? I mean, you're sort of not sure about your career and all that. But think of those people who were born into, much more,
Darkness.
trying circumstances. Think of people who are living in Afghanistan at the moment, right? What was their fault, right? People who are living among bomb blasts, living among wars. They didn't choose to be born there, right?
Right.
And people who are in India, I mean, inequality is increasing by the day, right? There's only
Right.
a creamy layer which gets creamier by time,
Right.
with time. And you were lucky to be born there, right? If you were not born there, then you would have had it. And the fact that you guys have, you guys have extended you're all we, also part of the, you could have chosen to be, you were born in the creamy layer, you could have chosen to stay there, that you have not, you have purposely taken a conscious decision to extend your hand and try to, get these people to live lives that they can talk about.
So it's not
That
me
is something that at the end of the
alone.
day,
It's
all of you, right? All of you,
sir.
it's all of you, right? And that is what defines satisfaction for me, right? Satisfaction cannot be measured by money and but these things, right? I mean, a smile can give you as much of satisfaction as probably much more satisfaction than tens of lakhs of rupees.
But sir, I would also like to mention that this work is not been done alone. It's been done alone by
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everybody who's working in your team.
a lot of people who are there who stood by our girls, even during pandemic. There are a lot of people even in their bad times stood beside my girls during the pandemic, and
Absolutely.
we are really
Absolutely.
grateful to them, because without you
Sure.
guys, we wouldn't have been able to do what we have done till now. Sir,
And we are all in this together.
yes, we are all in this together, and that is what people need to understand. That so you have visited our Behala orphanage. How would you describe your experience during your meet with my children, and any memories that you still have in your mind?
Yeah, I still, I feel very bad and sad that I lost in the semifinals.
And I remember I was umpiring.
Yeah, you were the bloody umpire. You could have at least given a couple of no balls or no, but I was bowling. Anyway, yeah, we couldn't play in the finals. But I batted well.
Right.
I hope you remember that.
And you were very
I
competitive.
batted well. Sorry?
You were really competitive.
Yeah. So I absolutely relished the memories of the cricket that we played. I hope more of such events could have happened because I think I've improved my batting a bit.
Okay.
So
We
but it
also
was
do
so wonderful, right? Because I played with this host of kids who I had never seen before, and they were so wonderful. Even they were bursting with that enthusiasm, this happiness, and they were competing so ferociously, right? Though that guy dropped a catch, I will never forgive him for that. That allowed him that last winning runs of that guy batsman. But anyway, The way the kids fought, even in the cricket match, was brilliant, right? I mean, it told me that they were, they knew they wouldn't give an inch. Right? That was so lovely. And that is what you should have. I mean, these kids deserve that fun. I mean, it was just their bad luck that they were born where they were. And I think it's time that we in India should remove that luck factor from your birth. It's a very difficult thing, of course. I don't know whether I hope it will happen at some point of time, but it's only the presence of people like you that there can be some equality in the society. I hope, at least things get better and you don't have to live a cursed life because you were born in certain circumstances. But yeah, it was wonderful. I'll never forget that. Though, of course, again, I would have preferred to play in the finals against your team.
We also lost, actually.
So you lost in the finals, right? Or you lost in semis? Yeah, so I would have preferred to play you and really hit you for a 6.
Okay, sir, we will surely have that match again, sir. I look forward for that. Sir, coming to you yourself, sir, you must have faced many difficulties and struggles to come to this point of your life where you're successful. Like failures and hurdles must have been there. What is your message?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what is your message to the youth on facing failure?
I believe, I have now lived for many number of days on this planet, large number of days. And what I have finally realized, and I see the thing is, when you are in academia, you're surrounded by young kids all the time. Right. You see so many stories unfolding around you all the time, right? Even today, I am dealing with a story right now as I speak to you. It's a difficult case of a student, PhD trauma and all that issues. That happens all the time. So, but, in my experience, what I have always, the lesson that I've learned from life is that there is a wheel that just turns. That has to turn. The wheel always turns. I have seen people very, very down. Before I joined academia, I was in corporate. I had a friend who was really having a very hard time, extremely hard time. In the personal front, his wife had a miscarriage. They lost twins, actually. It's horrible. Okay. He almost lost his job. In fact, he did lose his job for a certain point of time. But he didn't give up. He just kept on fighting. We all helped him. I'm happy to feel that, to know that I particularly tried to help him quite a bit. And somehow he just hung on, he didn't let go. It was horrible because he had lost almost all whatever money he had lost in his, his small, his kids. I mean, basically they were stillborns. Okay. And they survived after being born 1 month in an NICU in Bangalore, which is extremely expensive. And they didn't survive. He lost all his money. He then lost his job. But he still didn't give up. Now, he's one of the most successful, people I know. I mean, he in the same company, he has been given prizes as one of their best employees. He's almost become an NRI. He and his wife have a kid now who's doing quite well. Okay. And he's at the top of he's at in his mountain. If you think life to be a mountain, he's almost near the pinnacle. I have known so many cases where people have been down, but they have not been out. They have fought on, and the wheel has turned. And that is what I very, very strongly believe now. The wheel will turn, but you have to hang on to the wheel. But you have to hang on. You cannot let go. You just cannot let go. The wheel will turn. Believe in the wheel turning and give it your all. Do not submerge yourself, in self-pity. Do not think how bad the world has treated me. Oh man, why did this happen to me? Why this to me?
Why
That I tell you, why me? That is the worst way to fail.
Right.
That is the worst way to fail, because there will always be somebody who is even more unfortunate than you. You're bound to face that. See, there was this famous story of this guy, being very unhappy that he didn't have a shoe. He was crying and all, and then he met a guy with no leg. So there will, if you don't have a shoe, there'll always be a person without a leg.
Without leg, right?
Right. So you cannot wallow in self-pity. Self-pity is the greatest enemy of ever achieving success, of ever coming out of a hole. If you are just, and what happens, you see, is that you get bogged down by the circumstances.
Right.
You keep crying, why did it happen? Why did I not pass? Why did I get a D? Why did I fail in this test? Why did I not, why did the share market crash? You do not find out the solutions of getting out of the hole. You're so afraid that, you're so done in by the circumstances itself that you do not want to find out the ways to conquer them. And as for me, I've always believed this, and I've always believed that a solution will exist. And I've tried to find the solution.
Right, sir. Right.
And I can also tell you that the one thing that for me has happened is I have done things on my own decisions. Okay. Nobody has come out, and of course I have, without people's help, I would not have reached anywhere. Absolutely. But the decisions finally about what I would do in my life, I have taken myself. People have tried to influence me. People have tried to, at times even impose their will on me. But I have not accepted that. I have not bowed down. I have finally lived the way I wanted to. And I have not compromised on that. Even when people have said that, are you crazy? You're leaving a corporate job. I can tell you, when I left my corporate job, and this is exactly true, Siddhant. My salary became 30% of what I was earning. When I left my corporate to enter IISER, it became 30% straight of what I earned in my company the month before, and what I got as my first salary was 1/3, less than 1/3. Of course, I was lucky that then this pay commission came, and now I think people in academia are pretty, very well placed. I must say that. I mean, the 6th pay commission, 7th pay commission, they've been, especially the 6th pay commission. They, now Indian professors earn a salary that is competitive with anybody out there, anyone. I mean, we are competitive with people in the US. If you compare the way we live in India, of course, I do not compare with a person living in the US and converting their salary to Indian rupees. That is nonsense. If you think of purchasing power that we have with our salaries in India and the purchasing powers they have with their salaries in the US or Germany or wherever, it is very much the same. Okay. But what I can say is that I have always taken my decisions myself. I have allowed myself to dream, and I have believed in dreaming always. I have been told that, hey, are you mad? What are you trying to do? Why are you doing theater as a professional and also doing research as a profession? I mean, people have, we have ended a day 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, I've slogged in the lab, then we have started rehearsals at 10. People have said, oh man, are you crazy? You're going to, my colleagues who know what I do, they said, you're going to go for a rehearsal? No, are you mad? How can you do it? I mean, at times your bodies probably would have said that.
It's a different kind of motivation. I believe that.
Yeah, but your body has said, forget it, get your aram. I said, no, because no, I've chosen it. I've chosen my path, and I'm going to do it. So that is the thing. I have always done what I've wanted to, and I've tried my best not to harm other people. That is also something which I've always. I mean, there's this thing called, counting your blessings and all. And I'm not a spiritual, a religious person or something at all of that type. But I do believe that if you harm people,
Harm will come.
I don't, it's not that they will give you a curse. I don't believe in, there are things that, you hold your sacred thread and say, sharp deta hu ki tera ye ho jayega. That is all nonsense. But if people dislike you, that's going to affect you. That's going to affect you. In very, very real terms, it's going to affect you. You're not going to get the project that you want to do. You're not going to, they're not going to cooperate with you. And cooperation is contingent to success. So if you go and, really piss off people, then it's going to harm you in some way. If you harm people, they're going to take their revenge, because humanity, we are a very, vindictive class of beings, You step on my toe, I'm going to try my best to kick you back. And so it's better not to step on other people's toes. But that's not that I'm not protested against. If I've seen that something is wrong, I've gone out and protested. I've not ever taken things lying down. Never. If people have tried to hit me, I've tried to hit back, always, as a rule. Because I have lived in the way that I think is the most optimized way, where I do not harm people out of my own, and where I derive maximum satisfaction, and satisfaction cannot come at the expense of others. That is what I firmly believe in.
So that was a very beautiful message, sir. And there's a lot of things that we can learn from that message. The best thing I liked was the part where you mentioned about the wheel moving on, and that is a beautiful message. I think students and people, whoever is listening.
Yeah, and Siddharth, I have seen this for so many examples. Yeah, so many. I know a person, one more girl, she was kicked out of a PhD for some certain things, and in a month she got a better offer. But she hung on. She did not let go. She said, I will do a PhD. So that hanging on, that is not easy. But that if you do it, because I am a firm believer of probability. So if you toss a coin, it's 50% head or tail. If you have had 3 tails, there is an overwhelming probability that the next time it will be a head.
Right. So, what would you like to change in our organization? Is there something that you don't like and want us to improve, like coming to Rescue and Relief Foundation? I
don't know. So one thing that I have not seen you do, maybe you do it, is that the cultural programs. Okay. I have not, I have not been or you have not maybe invited me to your cultural programs or whatever. I don't know whether you're doing those.
Actually, we were doing it, but right now we have, due to the pandemic, it is not.
Because see, I obviously, I'm biased myself, being towards theater, and I do theater and all that. So I think those are, having, expressing oneself culturally, expressing one's thoughts through music or theater or dance or anything, is finally imperative for an all-round growing up, being a human being.
We do that. We have cultural programs. Recently, we have on 15th August, Independence Day, we had a program. We have a video also on the website. So, my sort of suggestion to you would be to allow kids to express themselves in whatever way they want. Yes,
that is, and give them proper, avenues of doing that. Maybe get, you would probably have a lot of people who are willing to come and spend a day with them in theater or in music or in dance, whatever. I personally know people who can come to your place and do a workshop for a couple of days. I definitely know people. Okay. So that is something where if you have any, experts coming in from the cultural domain, any domain, and passing on their expertise, it will be like, I saw how delighted the kids were when we played cricket.
Right.
I'm sure they would be as happy if
we can definitely someone do that, sir. If we have something, we can do that, sir.
Absolutely. I think that is something which people, your kids would really, really love. They would definitely, be very, very happy about it and nurture it.
Right. So coming back to the same thing, sir, like you pointed out. So is there any suggestion, in terms of theater, other art forms to reach to wider audience and create more awareness for a program like ours?
See, nowadays, I always believe that theater is something which has a very direct appeal, because we love stories, right?
Right.
We absolutely love stories. I mean, you think of it. I mean, Mahabharata, Iliad, Ramayana. I mean, these are thousands of years old, but their attraction doesn't die,
Doesn't
right?
die.
Because everybody loves a nice story told. So whatever message you have, if you can wrap it in the form of a story, when I say message, I do not like art forms which have messages stamped on them. So then you should be if you want. So there's a famous saying by a very, very famous film director that if I had to deliver messages, I would be a postman.
Okay.
Okay, you understand, right? So the message has to be inlaid, but very carefully, so that it doesn't stare out. So Mahabharata doesn't give you any message like that.
Right.
But there are so many messages that if you were were willing to go a bit deep, you will find them staring out at you. It's just a story that is so beautiful. So if you indulge in these kind of activities where kids come out and perform their own stories, enact out their stories in songs, in dance, in theater, anyway, in drawing, do not keep them, dictate their creativity. Do not tell them that, okay, do it like this or do it like that. Just keep them, give them sort of freedom to express, unbridled. Keep them unbridled. Okay, allow their creativity to come forth, and let them express themselves in a way in which they're comfortable. Maybe the basic forms can be taught to them. How to do it.
So we are doing that. So like we have dance as a part of our program. We have singing as a part of the program, sir.
Exactly.
Drawing as a part of program, sir. So we have we have training, guitar training as a part of our program, sir.
Beautiful, right?
Not that, sir, it needs of all. It is like who has interest in what they are going and doing it. Like you asked me to say, they have that kind of a freedom out there to choose.
Exactly. Because see, any art form, any sort of art form finally gives you, a lot of freedom.
Freedom, right, sir? I understand.
Yeah, maybe you understand, right? It allows me to just get out all those things inside me.
Exactly, sir. Like for our Girl Child project, I'd like to mention that dance has actually helped us a lot in terms of reducing the trauma that these girls have.
Stress. So that is the most fantastic stress buster you can think of.
Exactly. So recently,
best possible stress buster.
Recently, we had a tie-up with Shankar Mahadevan Academy at Bangalore, and they've been out right
now.
Oh,
super.
My training girls in singing. So that is what they are doing also. So that is also
fabulous,
helping me in managing my girls. One example I like to give, one of my girl is part of an international dance group today in Kolkata.
Wow, see,
and
super.
My girl is working as an assistant photographer in Colors Bangla.
Fantastic. So this is what I'm saying. So these are things which will liberate them. Right. See, they have been, they have just suffered for no fault of their own.
No fault of their own.
They didn't deserve to suffer, right? It is just that we have created a world which is so unfair, which is so exploitative, that we've just tried to suck out the juice out of them. You have a very difficult task because you have to still, put them back
to the
place them back to where they should have been. Where they should have been. They didn't deserve this.
Sir, your message to people who are looking forward to be part of our organization.
Realize that you are privileged. Realize that your privilege is not permanent. If people around you are in a state of existence that is not what any human being should be subjected to, they can pull you down. Your seat, your comfortable seat at the top of everything, the relaxed life you lead might no longer be as relaxed if people around you are unhappy. It is not just, I think, if you have the way inequality is surging in this country, in this whole world, and that's been driven even worse by the pandemic. You know, education also now is having, it's become like a class thing, right? Because in India, at least, the significant large majority do not have online access. Right? So you're creating an underprivileged class very, very strongly in education as well.
Right.
So if you do not realize that inequality, you're sitting on a time bomb. When that explodes, you will not be spared. So it is not just something that you do to make you feel that, you know, Arey, hum kitne dayalu hai. It's not that. It is something that is necessary. Because if you keep people suffering, their suffering will extend to you as well. All this normalcy that you're getting, you know, that you're growing fat with will explode around you. And you too will feel the pangs of their suffering. So it is, if we relax, if we stay with we stay cozy with the understanding that our lives are beyond all the pains and pangs and sufferings of our fellow human beings, that is such a lie. That is an absolutely, that is a stupidity, I can just tell you. Because if you do not realize that people around you, if their lives are beyond hope, if there is no hope in their lives, they are capable of ending your hopes too. So you have to realize that you have to, it is your duty, it is necessary that you fill their lives with hope. With whatever good well-being you have, at least a little bit of it, if you can transfer to them, you can probably, if a little seed of hope you plant into them, that'll become a tree. And that tree will give you shade as well.
Sir, hope is something that you will see whenever you see in my children's eyes whenever you come to my project.
Exactly.
And that is my message to all my friends who are watching this video. Friends,
Exactly.
so that was Professor Ayan Banerjee and his thoughts about the situation of society at large in our country, and his view of the little work or impact we as an organization are trying to do to bring a lasting change. We are grateful to him for taking out his precious time to be with us in this conversation and convey the message to our family members and the mass. We will complete this episode as we always do with his final thought on what he enjoys most in our organization or any other message he wants to give to our viewers. Sir.
I think anybody who nurtures hope is finally ensuring that humanity will survive for the next few centuries. Because the way we are going, there is every doubt that as a race, as a species, we'll actually continue in this planet. It's so bad. And Siddhant's group, and it's just not environment, it is that we are destroying our own species. Humanity is probably one of the very, very singular species on this earth, which is probably its own worst enemy, right? We have stopped cannibalism, cannibalism in real, but in practice, I mean, cannibalism isn't just eating your fellow beings' flesh. It is also eating their souls or eating their inner state of living. And that is what we are so good in, right? We destroy other people's lives. And in that, we destroy ourselves as a species. So unless there are people like Siddhant, like his team, like his group, who hold the hands of everybody who are alone, who needs their hands to be held, unless those people exist, unless those people are supported, it is going to be a lot of darkness that lies ahead of us. They are indeed the rays of hope that we have for ensuring our survival on this planet. And I'm dead serious when I say that. It is not a very good situation at all in terms of our, planet, in terms of, the way climate change is going, the way we are killing the environment, the way we are killing our own people, our own species. It is very bad. You should realize that, and we should come together again. And this pandemic has shown even worse. Even a virus can completely, small thing as insignificant as a virus can cause utmost disaster. We're almost helpless to that. So this has shown the power of cooperation. And Siddhant's team also has shown what cooperation can lead to. They create hope. And that is the way the species, humanity can actually survive on this planet. Hope is what we need, and hope is what they provide.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And sir, again, before I go, I would like to mention that this work that we are doing it's not our work alone, sir. You're a family member, and we as an organization, we don't look for donors. We look for family members, because when a family member is in trouble, the other family member will look after it. That is the idea behind our.
Sure.
So it was
Sure.
lovely talking to you, sir. Thank you, and I hope to see you again in our project. Thank you, sir.
Definitely. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Carry on your good work.